What's up, guys? Thank you for joining. Let me flip the camera around, hand it to. I don't think they know how to. I don't think you can start it. Well, you probably can. We just haven't figured it out how to start it. Well, don't watch the first 3 seconds. I don't know how to start it where it's not looking at me with the other facing camera. So, anyway, today we are going to cook some delicious cod and bone marrow tacos. As you can see, the ingredients that we have, we're going to cook the cod in ghee. We're going to add some salt, some pepper, a little bit of onion powder. If you have garlic powder, that go well too, but my girlfriend's allergic to garlic, so we're not going to be throwing those on there today. I would recommend you do. We have an avocado, but it's not ready yet, so we're not going to be using that. Also bacon grease as a wonderful grease to cook the tortillas in, but if you just want to use ghee, go ahead. First things first, we're going to get the bone marrow started. That takes the longest to cook out of all of the steps. So I cleaned the bone marrow first. You want to make sure that you're using bones from healthy cows because a lot of the toxins will congregate in the bones and in the bone marrow. So you also want to clean them because they're just filthy a lot of times when they get delivered. So first step is it's very, very simple to cook this stuff. Just going to put a lot of salt on here. We're going to flip these around and then put more salt. That's about it. We're going to put these in the air fryer / toaster oven. Take this bad boy out. Is there enough clearance? There is. Okay, so we're going to put these on. These are frozen, by the way. So for frozen bone marrow, we're going to put this on 425, and we're going to do it for 21 minutes. That's good enough. And if we need longer, we'll put it longer. It's going to be 20, 25 minutes or so. The other thing is you don't need to cook the tortillas on a cast iron, but we just had some grease left over from cooking some wonderful bell peppers and onions yesterday. If you guys saw that post on some amazing tacos that I cooked. And so we got good flavor on that cast iron. We may as well use it to cook some delicious tortillas. One thing that I want to do when cooking these tortillas is you get one side, you get the grease on one side, and then before it's cooked, flip it, because otherwise one side's going to soak up all the grease, the other side's not going to soak up any, and you're going to have some sad tortillas. Okay, so while those cook, what's up?
For ground beef, is it better to salt before or after?
Salt before. And topic for today is obviously mental health, and we'll get to that as we're talking. But if you have mental health related questions, throw them on the chat. Earlier the better, so we can make sure that we get to it. Okay, so while we have the bone marrow cooking, we have the tortillas grilling, we're going to add salt to the cod. This is Himalayan sea salt. I don't have any esoteric reason for using this versus some other salt. We just had it from Frontier Co-op in our pantry, and we were low on other salt, so that's why we're using it. All right, we're also going to add a little bit of onion powder. And if you're not familiar with the macro profile of cod, cod is really, really a cheat code meal, especially if you're trying to do some lean bulking. This is nearly pure protein, but unlike other meats or seafoods that are pure protein, this actually tastes like it has a little bit of fat on it. It tastes like it has a fat profile. It doesn't have a fat profile, but it tastes like it has a fat profile. Okay, we're gonna have to need to clean that cutting board before we throw some cod back on there. That's okay. And then we're gonna add a little bit of pepper. And one thing that you'll notice that we always do when we're cooking, we're always multitasking. Okay, so this needs to be flipped, totally fine. Flip that. All right, and then we're going to flip the cod and pepper the other side of the cod. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. You can see the back Girlfriend says the back is the clearest that it's looked ever. I don't know if that's good or bad or if she's changed her mind with better lighting, but that's what happens when you use soap. And I joke that I stopped using steroids, but I have actually never started using steroids. We also have some olive oil that we're going to throw in at the end because olive oil makes everything taste better. What's up?
Are you using cod over chicken breast
Okay, I am using cod because it's available in our refrigerator, and I had to make a decision for what we were going to cook about 12 hours ago, and I prefer cod over chicken. I don't like lean chicken like plain. Take this bad boy off before it burns. I think chicken doesn't taste good unless it's mixed with something fatty. And so I only like chicken if it's mixed with like bacon, pepperoni, or if it's like part of a cheese pizza or something like that. But I think chicken by itself doesn't taste good. I like fried chicken, obviously. And so I just don't think that chicken's just not a meal that I would want to eat unless there's other things masking the flavor. And guacamole can mask the flavor, cheese can mask the flavor. The thing about cod is now we're going to be adding bone marrow to this, but cod tastes great even without bone marrow. So each one of these fillets has about 33 grams of protein in it, which is like, that's absurd, right? So I'm cooking 2 for myself, 1 for my girlfriend. I'm not going to eat 2 for myself because I had, if you guys saw my post earlier, I had a lot of salmon and bagels this morning. I had probably 65 grams of protein this morning. And I'm not one of those crazy macro trackers, but I'm also like autistically capable of doing math. So, you know, these things happen where the count just happens without really paying close attention to it. Do you want to answer? Oh, answer, but I don't think you can hear her on the mic unless you yell. If you yell, nobody on the far right thinks they're on the far right, by the way. They just think they're sane, and they just think that they're following sensible policies. So I don't know. We'll just do a series of interviews. I'll interview my far right Latina girlfriend, and she can decline to comment if she wants to because she's not fully anonymous anymore. What do you think we should do with the homeless people in Austin? Round them up. She says we should round them up. Send them to California. I don't think that's far right. I think that's, and people in California would say that's the humane thing to do. All right. So we got bacon grease brewing on the pan. I'm going to turn the heat down on here just because it's really hot. All right, we're going to turn the heat up. So I'm going to start with a high flame when I'm cooking the cod, but I'm actually going to turn it down to medium high. So we do more interview questions for the far right Latina. Okay, so does she say that? Is that what somebody said? Oh, okay. She quoted the Unabomber in her valedictorian speech. Although I don't know how he's probably far. Isn't the Unabomber far left? It's kind of all the same. Okay. Well, he's dead now too. So what other beliefs? What do you think we should do with illegal immigrants in the United States? Send them back. I mean, that possibly is considered far right at the moment, though 25 years ago, I think that would be considered pretty mainstream. So yeah, the other thing you have to think of is like a lot of opinions held by the far right were held by the middle ground 25 years ago, especially as it pertains to like gender ideology and stuff like that. I don't know. I think one of the quotes that she used the other night that I thought was really funny and apt was referring to left-wing ideology as like worshiping noble perverts. I think the concept of the noble pervert is something that's going to become more and more high profile over the next 5 or 10 years.
Just wait. The pedophiles are going to be.
Yes. She says the pedophiles are going to be the next group to become mainstreamed. I don't know, I might get banned on YouTube for sharing what she thinks the origin of rainbows is for the gay community. You can DM me if you want the real answer for that one. And I don't know if she's wrong. I don't know that she's right, but I also don't know that she's wrong. Okay, so we're seeing some steam come up from the ghee pan. We're going to turn this down to a medium high flame. So it's still going to be pretty high. And then we are going to put each of these on. Put, what? Guys, we're supposed to be talking about mental health, not questions about my far-right Latina girlfriend's political views, though we can probably still do both at the same time. For what? For the yeah, Twitch or something. Okay, so one thing that we're going to do, put that on low, flip this tortilla. We're going to give these a shimmy. The reason we're going to give these a shimmy is if you want to zoom in here. So because we were multitasking, some of the bottom of this back fillet already got stuck to the pan, which is not ideal. It happens sometimes. That's why we got to give these things the shimmy. And then we're also going to reapply a little bit of butter right here. Okay, we're going to transport these tortillas to a plate. We're also going to get a small plate. Turn this off. One thing I forgot is there's some really good crunchy chili onion sauce that I'm going to put on mine. I like this a lot. Far-right Latina might not because it's spicy and she's not supposed to eat spicy food. I will wash this while we cook because we like to multitask. What's up? So, okay, this is a very interesting way to approach things, and bear with me on this because it's not the most straightforward explanation, but it does make sense. I promise it makes sense. So a lot of people think that if you want something more, you need to try harder. Because in a lot of things in life, you know, if you want the AMG Mercedes, you need to pay more. If you want to get your 40-yard dash time down from 5.0 to 4.8, you need to work harder. So a lot of people have this false belief that if I want something better, I need to try harder. And the older you get, this is true when it comes to like being the best in the world. Like you're not going to be the best in the world without trying insanely hard and making a lot of sacrifices. But like for me, I'm not a top 0.01% physique. I mean, as America gets fatter, I'm probably a top 0.1% physique. But like, you know, I wouldn't win a bodybuilding competition if I entered it, even a natural bodybuilding competition. So I just want to have a good physique. And in order to have a good physique, the easiest way that I realized I could have a good physique is if I liked my training. And so rather than focus on, oh, I have all these physique goals, I want to look like a Greek god. No, I like my training. I go in and I approach training like I want to set PRs in conditioning. I want to be able to still do the things that I did as a Division I athlete. I want to be able to lift weights heavier this year than I lifted last year. And so I'm only focused on performance. And it's so much easier to stay motivated to hit performance goals than it is to stay motivated to hit physique goals. So like my physique goals are downstream from my performance goals. Intermission, we're going to flip these. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. These are cooking just a little bit too fast. That's okay. And so once you realize that my physique goals are downstream from my performance goals, the thing that I would ask yourself is, what do you want to be able to do? Like, what? Do you want to be able to run a 6-minute mile? I think it'd be cool to be able to run a 6-minute mile if I couldn't. Or, realistically, I want to be able to run a 5:30 mile. I at some point in my life, and I may be past this, but I would love to be able to run a 5:30 mile with a 550 deadlift. Maybe getting too old for that. Maybe my time has passed, but I would love to be able to do that. You know what's going to happen if I can run a 5:30 mile with a 550 deadlift? I'm going to be more shredded than I am now. I'm going to have bigger muscles than I have now. But I'm not going to spend time thinking about, oh, I need to diet this way, I need to do this and that. It's like, no, I just need to go into the gym, have a well-structured training plan, listen to my body. And the other thing is, if you want good results, listen to your body. Training's easier when you listen to your body, and you get better results when you listen to your body. So I talked to Tyler Todd about this. If you want the easiest, most efficient path in life, always win twice. Look for areas where you can expend less effort and get better results. One area where I've noticed this is 100% true, listening to your body. You get better results listening to your body. You don't try as hard when you listen to your body. You stay healthier longer when you listen to your body. So you should always work on, how do I listen to my body, right? Yesterday, my conditioning was slower than it was the week before. That means my recovery is behind where it needs to be if I want to keep pushing heavy weight. I knew this based on how my deadlifting session went last week, that I'm in the down slope of my recovery. I need a little bit of time to build myself back up. So instead of doing heavy deadlifts, you guys saw on Twitter, I did banded deadlifts, where I did fast movements rather than something slow and heavy. Instead of doing 445 pounds, sets of 6, I did 325 pounds, sets of 3, fast with bands. So learn how to listen to your body. You won't burn out. And if you don't burn out and you stay in the gym for a long enough time and you continue to focus on doing what you need to do to get better, your results are good with less effort. And people think that you have great genetics even though you're just smarter than them. All right, check out how awesomely crispy these things are. Looking. Say the beginning again.
You focus on increasing lift numbers.
Yeah.
And their focus is having a decrease in lift.
Right. What I'm saying is the easiest way to do it is to focus on increasing your output. Right. If you come to me and you say, I want to be a billionaire, the question I'll pose to you is, what problem can you solve? What's the biggest problem you can solve? Right? If you want to be a billionaire, don't focus on becoming a billionaire. Focus on solving big problems. The downstream effect of that is you're going to make a lot of money. And once you start making a lot of money, at that point you can decide, okay, this is what I need to do to become a billionaire. But I need you to understand that if you shift your mind, you shift your mindset to focus on a proximal target, you're going to end up hitting that the target that you've ultimately been coveting much, much more easily. I guarantee you will. But it requires a little bit of a mindset shift that a lot of people aren't willing to take. What can what? We have check-ins every couple times a week where we talk about the things that we need to do to feel a 1 out of 10 better in the relationship. So if we're feeling a 6 out of 10, what do we need to do to feel a 7 out of 10? If we're feeling a 3 out of 10, what do we need to do to get to 4? We're constantly trying to figure out, like, how can we get more sleep? Because a lot of times, mental health is downstream from how you're feeling. How can we get more sleep? How can we make our bodies feel better so that we're in less chronic pain? If you want to be mentally unhealthy, like, have chronic pain. It's really, really hard to have a positive outlook on life when you have chronic pain. This is tasting awesome, by the way. All right.
What if I'm plateauing at low weight? Does that mean my recovery is bad? My squat has been stuck at 225 pounds for 4 months.
How long have you been lifting? The question, my guess is you probably lift too much. A lot of people think that they should be squatting multiple times per week. And I don't really think people should be squatting multiple times per week, with the exception of maybe their first year training. And so usually if somebody's like consistent with training but stuck at 225, my guess is you're squatting like twice a week for more. I would turn that down to once a week and take a deload week too, because if you're never deloading, then your body's just constantly pushing itself without enough fuel in the tank. So that's a recipe for disaster. All right, so we're going to take this one off as well. I wish you guys could see how juicy this is. You laughing at a comment, or you laughing at how good this smells? Yeah, it does smell really good, huh?
Someone asked me easy for cardio.
I do interval training. So this is actually an interesting point. No, MMA is not. Okay, I talked to somebody about this yesterday. I actually trained with a client yesterday. If you saw some posts, I brought him over for some tacos, and he thought they were like, as good as this fish looks, as good as my food looks in pictures, it's better in person. And that's exactly what Alex, his name's also Alex, said yesterday when he came over. So MMA, again, it's a complex answer, right? If you're not going to do any cardio and MMA is your only option for cardio, then do it, right? If you're wondering why you can't get below 16% body fat and you're doing MMA hours per week, it's because you're doing MMA as your preferred form of cardio. My preferred form of cardio is high intensity interval training. Now, it used to be the only cardio that I did because it is the most effective for boosting your resting metabolic rate, which I'm sure you've heard me talk at length about. At this point, I only do it twice per week now. So I do interval training twice per week, 12 to 16 minutes, either a minute on, a minute off, or a minute on, 30 seconds off, 6 to 8 repetitions. I do that twice per week, and then once per week, I'll do a 20-minute steady state session. When I was younger and my body recovered faster, I would do that up to 4 times per week. So a lot of people think that if they want to be lean, they need to do a lot of cardio. And the reality is that's a calorie counting approach. If you want to be lean, you need to do intense cardio, right? And so in order to do intense cardio, often you need to do less cardio. Now, the flip side to that is if you want a healthy heart, you need to do healthy, and having a healthy heart are two different things. So if you want to have a healthy heart, do 20 minutes of cardio, do 60 minutes of cardio, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. That's going to help your heart. That's going to help your resting heart rate go down. But if you want to be lean, you want to have a fast resting metabolic rate, short, intense intervals, measure them like a lift, get better at them. All right, so
someone asked what type of conditioning do you do specifically? Do you use prowlers?
I don't even know what a prowler is. I do assault biking and I do sprints, right? We're going to let that cook for about a minute more. So I do assault bike, I do sprints, like treadmill sprints. So we will cook.
And then another question.
Yeah.
What do we do for fun that helps our mental health outside of working out?
We make fun of libs together. We dance. We went dancing on Monday. So we were supposed to go to a Lauryn Hill concert that got canceled because her voice stopped working. So we ended up being down in Fort Worth. We got an Airbnb. It was like a 3-hour travel. We had the trek to go see the Fugees before one of their guys went to jail, and then Lauryn Hill's vocal cord stopped working, and so we just decided to have a Mediterranean dinner with dancing. And so that was really fun. In fact, we may at some point possibly move to Fort Worth because it's a lot cooler than Austin. So, it ended up being a little bit of a real estate adventure too. Okay, look at this. This is awesome. We're going to put this right here. Yeah, I don't do those. Okay, so we're going to, I don't do those. I like to do measurable things. Because you can lie to yourself. Like you can say, oh, I tried really hard. Like I want it measurable. If you can measure it, you can manage it. normally people who I disagree with say that about how to run a company, but as far as fitness goes, I'm absolutely certain that you want to be able to measure what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just going to go by feel, and cardio is not something you can do by feel because you just don't know how hard you're doing it. That's the wrong way to approach whether you're getting better or not in cardio. So each one of these tacos, if you are still counting calories and you haven't hit me up for coaching, so this is going to be 33. This is going to be about 40 grams of protein. Probably about 50, 180, 208, 300. So yeah, each one of these is going to be about 350 calories. Before the bone marrow, when we add the bone marrow, probably 450 calories, but it's going to be about 40 grams of protein. That's a lot of protein. Like that's a lot of protein. So if you actually just ate like 4 of these per day, most people would hit their calorie goals. You'll probably be full after 2 of these. So if you eat 2 of these for lunch, 2 of these for dinner, and like a couple eggs for breakfast, like you're probably going to hit, when I said your calorie goals, I mean your protein goals, you're probably going to hit those. So let's throw a little bit of bone marrow on there.
I'm going to ask if conditioning and cardio is interchangeable.
Conditioning and cardio is interchangeable. It depends how old you are. Because as I mentioned, if you want to get lean, if your goal is to lose body fat, you don't need to do cardio, you need to do conditioning, assuming you don't want to count calories. But again, that is not going to dramatically lower your resting heart rate. It's not going to lower necessarily your predisposition. It will lower your predisposition for a heart attack, but not as much as cardio. So cardio, like there's more to life than being super ripped. I hate to admit it, but there is. And so if you want to be healthy, do cardio, walk, do zone 2. You can do it for hours per week and it will have a health benefit. But if you just want to be ripped, you don't have to do that. All right, I'll get the money shot right here pretty soon. We'll zoom in. All right, we're gonna fold it like this, so you get a little bit of spice, bone marrow, protein in every bite. Chef Alex doesn't miss. If you haven't tried these, you gotta try these. Any questions, leave them, or we're gonna cut it. This is a pretty standard 30-minute meal prep. By now, you know that's basically how long it takes. If I wanna talk to people, if I don't, 20 minutes for these delicious lunches and dinners. The more you do it, the more efficient you get. And keep tuning in, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Pacific, Wednesdays and Fridays for Lunch and Livestream with Alex.